Hello everyone, this is your JTI and Vic Uni podcast team, Ferdinand, Carlo, and my name is Thomas. We're going to talk with one of our speakers from Speakers Bank, Rohan Mullin, in a special podcast episode where we focus on his life and lived experience based on a book that he wrote entitled Life is Not a Rainbow and Fucking Sunshine. In this series of podcasts, we will tackle specific parts of Rohan's life as it is reflected in his book. For this episode, we will talk about chapter 1 and 2 that focus on experience of having a stroke. Rohan is a former Australian men's fast-pitch softball pitcher who played around the world. He was also successful in the business world as a CEO of the company. In 2013, he suffered a massive stroke, which resulted in major brain surgery and having his left arm and leg constantly seized. Despite all of this, he learned to function again and he is able to live independently now. Welcome to Speakers Bank podcast, Rohan. We are happy to have you. Can you tell us about your life before having a stroke?
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Thanks for everyone being here today and helping out. So, as you discussed, I was in my first half of my life. I was focused around playing men's fast-pitch softball, and I was fortunate enough to travel all around the world and culminating in playing for Australia in the 1996 World Championships. I was fortunate enough to play in New Zealand, America, Canada, Europe, all around the world. But in April 26, 2013, so the first half of my life was focused around sports and concentrating on that. Then when my softball career finished up when I was in my late 30s, I ended up going into business and starting up my own companies. And the last company that I partly owned, was a soil remediation company, which is a company based on cleaning up contamination sites. So then in regards to my stroke, in April 26, 2013, I suffered a massive stroke, losing all the left side of my body, which left me totally paralysed and left me in a wheelchair for 2 years, which basically I had to do almost around 20 weeks rehab in hospital and relearning everything from standing or sitting first. I couldn't even sit up in a chair. I was that bad. I had what's known as a hemorrhagic bleed. There are two types of strokes mainly, an ischemic and a hemorrhagic bleed. I had a massive hemorrhagic bleed. So that left me totally paralysed.
Have you received any support from your family and friends when it happened?
Well, I'm very fortunate to have an amazing family, and without them I wouldn't be where I am today. So, and also the sports community also got around me. I'll give you a perfect example is that they organised a fundraiser for me after I went down to support myself and my family, because I was married with 2 kids. So they did a comedy night for me in North Melbourne, where over 400 people arrived, and they raised over 40,000 for myself and my family. So
that was a great help for you, I think.
It was.
Yeah, and support is so important in such a situation. Can you tell us about learning to accept your disability and acknowledging your limitations so that you can begin to move forward?
Well, the part about my life was that I had control of my life. In that I was a pitcher in softball, which is basically like being a bowler in cricket. The game doesn't start. The game would never start until I pitched the ball. So I controlled the game. I ran my own companies all my life, so I controlled my life. When I had a stroke, and then I couldn't get, and I was left with a permanent disability, I lost control of my life. I couldn't get out of bed when I wanted. I couldn't go to the toilet when I wanted. So my life now has been about gaining back control.
Okay, so that's what my next question is. Like, what are the changes that occurred, like when you had this stroke? It changes in your lifestyle, in the daily things that you're doing. Are there any specific changes after that?
Well, initially, my life totally changed because I was reliant on someone 24/7. I couldn't be by myself. I needed someone around me all the time. Like when I had my stroke and I was in hospital, all the doctors came into me and they said, "We don't believe you'll ever walk again. You'll need to go in a home." Which, when they never said, "Oh, we'll never walk," but they said, "We don't believe you'll ever walk again. We think you'll need to go in a home and be in full-time care for the rest of your life." They kept coming one after another, telling me all the things that I couldn't do.
When they told you that you may not walk again, what was your thought about that? Did you believe that you're gonna walk?
Well, the thing about a stroke is that it wasn't painful, so I never felt worried at all. Like according to the doctors, I was very close to dying because of the bleed on my brain. So I never felt sick. I never thought it was that big a deal, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Years on that I've learned now that how lucky I was.
No.
So I've been the sort of person that I never listen to anyone. I have self-belief. I believe in myself. And I've had playing sports. You get told every day the things you can't do or you won't achieve. I was told I'd never play for Victoria. I will never play for Australia. Well, I've done all those. So I have self-belief.
Okay.
That's great. We would like to talk a little bit about your book because we know that you're writing a book. Can you tell us why have you decided to write a book?
Well, my book is designed not to talk just about stroke. It's about talking to everybody going through tough times. Like we all have hurdles in life. At the moment, my hurdles are a little bit higher than most people, but we all have challenges. All my book is about facing a challenge head on and taking on, and over time, step by step, slowly over time, finding the light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that's really important for like the times we're in at the moment with COVID, for example.
Yeah.
You might be going through a divorce, or you might be going through a business breakdown, or anything in your life that is challenging. Like in my life, I lost, after my stroke, I lost my company. My company got closed down. I lost because the investors invested money in me, not so much the company. So when I went down, they took their money out. So I lost my company. Then later on, I lost my wife. I lost my house. I lost everything I owned. So apart from that, I'm pretty good.
So, in the connection with that, Rohan, I just wanted to ask, with having a stroke, did you have how do you describe your emotional challenges? Did it affect your whole life? Did it control you, or how did you manage it?
Well, I pretty much that's it. That's a major part of my book is that I made pretty much every mistake you could make. I pushed everyone away. I pushed my ex-wife is a wonderful woman, and she stayed with me, but I pushed her away because I felt weak, needing help. I pushed all my softball friends away because I was always an alpha male. I was the one in control. Then to be in a wheelchair and have people come over and look down on me it was the way that I felt. So I really struggled with that, and that's something, to be honest with you, I really still struggle with that every day.
Do you feel like people look at you differently now?
Well,
because of your experience?
I've learned not to worry about what people think, to be fair.
Fair enough.
Like I'm to be totally honest with you, now that I can walk and I live independently, I'm able to do things that they never said was possible. I'm way prouder now of what I can do now than help whenever I played sports internationally, because it's just a sport. Whereas living with a disability is real life, and you don't get a break from it. So I can now assimilate to people with mental health issues, and because, like I said, it's with you 24/7.
So like how many years? So how many? How long does it take you like to accept the things that you are? To accept all those changes that happen.
Well, it's what I've really learned is you don't look at I never look at the past. I don't look too far in the future. What I do is when I get out of bed every morning, I take my first step. So I'm the same as you in that after I take my first step, I can start my day, I can start my life, and I make choices. So even though I've got a disability, I'm exactly the same as you. You take your first step of the morning, so that's how I live my life. It's just one day at a time, and
because I'm not saying this, but some others like it's hard for them to accept the changes that happened. So for you, for how long did it take you to accept all of those changes? Like before you were telling us that you are an alpha male, you are in control of everything, and now you'll be needing somebody else right after the stroke to help you or assist you with some of the things and stuff that you're not usually doing. So for how long does it take you to accept those things?
Well, I don't know if I'm ever going to accept it, because I keep working every day to improve myself. For example, it took me 2 years to learn to walk again, and now that I can progress, so I walk every day. I go to gyms 3 times a week.
Wow.
Before I used to go to gyms 3 times a week to improve my sports. Now I go to gyms 3 times a week so that I can take my kids for a walk when they come over, and I can get up. I can cook meals.
Wow.
For me, that for me now is my rewards. I guess.
Yeah.
That's
So
really good.
I guess I've never accepted it. Basically all I do is I work hard every day, and then the result will look after itself. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Like I'm a big fan of Buddhism, and one of the lines in Buddhism which I've lived my life by is, don't look at the reward at the end of the journey, look at the journey as the reward. So basically what I mean by that is that my stroke has given me so much more than it ever took away. Like it has broadened my network of people that I've met. Like I would never have met you guys and Speaker Bank if I never had a stroke.
Fair enough, yeah.
Like believe it or not, one of my best friends in life is one of my taxi drivers, an Indian taxi driver that I have that drives me around everywhere. So, and he's become one of my mentors in regards to, like, he helps me out with mindfulness and meditation and stuff like that.
Wow.
I would never have met a guy like that if I never had a stroke.
Yeah.
So, my book, like I said, my book is designed not for people, just for people that have had a stroke. Yes, it's going to help people who have had a stroke, but it's more about helping the day-to-day person that is having challenges in their life to say, yes, pain is hard at the moment, but pain is temporary. You know, work hard because regret is forever. If you work hard at what you want to achieve, you can achieve it. Because if I can achieve it, well, it's attainable for anyone.
It's really good that that you are taking control of your life, and that you are empowered, and then you see your disability as like broadening your horizon to do more, and that's really good for the people to hear, so that they're also inspired. Actually, that's actually my next questions. Like, to our listeners who are confused about and don't know how to manage their life because they are having stroke or they're having disability, what advice can you give it to them? Like, how would they manage their day-to-day lives, or is there anything that they could do to inspire? Do they need to talk to anyone, or do they need to talk with their friends and family?
I think number one is you've got to learn to be patient. You've got to take your time and understand that it's not going to come overnight. The best advice I ever got was from my personal trainer who said, Rohan, try to work on improving 1% every day. He goes, a person who is morbidly obese, for example, they're not going to lose 10 kilos in a week.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to work every day on just trying to lose a little bit of weight. Well, having a disability is similar in that you're not going to get up and just start walking like that tomorrow. For me, it meant I had to work on all the little steps in between, building my core back up, doing all the little bits and pieces to build that. Like when you're building a brick wall, you go brick by brick.
I think that's why
exactly the same. What's that, Tom?
I think that's why people quit, because it takes too long for them to achieve the goal, and just a lack of patience.
I think where I was blessed is my first half of my life was based around sports. So I was taught you don't get anything in life unless you work really hard at it. And I wasn't a gifted player or talented. I had to work really hard at it, which was actually a blessing for me because I enjoyed that part. I enjoyed the hard work.
Okay.
I own my own companies because, again, I enjoyed the hard work. Because people who think that if you own your own companies, you just sit back and count your money, they're dreaming. If you own your own company, you work harder than everybody else. Well, and if you don't, you're not going to be successful. So for me, I was already mentally trained for this challenge put ahead of me.
Okay.
So I was starting my middle ages. I had my 41st birthday in hospital. So the day before I had my stroke, I rode my push bike for 2.5 hours.
Wow, you're
so
quite
I got $1 million. Then the next day, I collapsed at work and almost died. So the point being is, what happened to me could happen to anyone. Like, because I never went to the doctors, I didn't know that I had high blood pressure, which is what caused my stroke, which was a byproduct of family history and my lifestyle as well. Like, I used to love going out and partying and burning the candle at both ends, I guess. So that's one of the other major parts you have to go through. Is that you have guilt when you have a stroke or something that causes you a disability. For the first part of your life, you have a lot of guilt. You have a lot of wasted energy. You have time, like you might be in a car crash, for example. You might blame that other driver for your disability. Well, again, that's wasted energy.
Yeah.
What I learned to do was focus my energy on, okay, today my task with physio was to stand up. For that next hour, I would focus my attention on just learning to sit to stands.
Yeah, as what you were saying earlier, like every day you must achieve at least 1%.
Exactly.
1%, it's not too little. It's actually what your goal to attain change, to change progress.
You set up achievable goal. And even if it's very small, you have to give yourself credit for it.
Actually, we learned a lot today from our conversation, Rohan.
That's right.
Tom, you made a good point earlier. Like some people, yes, they stray from the path, which is okay, but you've got to get back onto that path, and it's okay to make mistakes. That's again another thing that I learned from my sports background. It's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes, but learn from it, get back on the horse, and go again.
Thanks for that. So, as I would like to continue our conversation, I have to end this. So we can have to discuss and to talk more on our next episode. And then we are inviting our listeners, our viewers, to feel free to put down their questions or comment down their questions so we can ask Rohan straightly to Rohan and we can get his insights and his inputs and what his experiences are. And yeah, again, on behalf of Speakers Bank, we thank you very much, Rohan, for sharing the initial chapter of your book. And thank you everyone as well for watching, and tune in to our next succeeding episodes as we are here to continue to chat with Rohan about more of his chapter of his book and his life story.
So if you guys have any questions or have suggestions or any topic you want us to cover, please contact us on 0396877066 or visit www.speakersbank.org.au. Again, this is John and Ferdinand and Tom saying that you once again don't forget to subscribe for our YouTube channel, Speakers Bank, and to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and LinkedIn. So thank you guys for listening, and goodbye. Have a great day. Keep safe, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, and
Thank you, everyone.
Rohan, for sharing your time and giving us a good view on and good views for everybody. Yep. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rohan.
Thank you.